There are a lot of things that go into making a good bar a great bar, but a bar's best asset is its people, those who make the drinks and those who drink them. At the front of that queue, you've got the regulars. I'm Sam Bygrave. This is At the Bar from Boothby. Chau Tran is both bartender and co-owner at Burrow Bar in Sydney. It's a bar well loved for treating regulars like family. Are there any particular regulars that come to mind as like your A-team regulars?
Yes. Yeah. So I actually call them the Burrow Bar OGs.
Oh, yeah.
They literally got us through that first year. The first year was hard. We didn't have marketing budget. We barely had enough money for stock. None of the owners or which were the staff were getting paid. So everything was being reinvested in the venue. And there was a lot of nights where you didn't have people coming in for hours at a time, and it was a really scary thing. So these OGs are literally the people that came in, kind of got it. And it's really hard to kind of enjoy a space when it's completely empty, but keep coming back. So for me, they're my originals.
Why is it well loved? That's down to the bartenders.
It's a place where I think you can go in and have an amazing time, whether you're with a group of people, if you're by yourself. You can have the type of experience that you kind of want. And the staff are always spectacular and really, really talented, that they'll, talk if you want them to talk. And they'll kind of just leave you alone if you kind of need to be left alone.
And you've just moved from a previous space?
Yeah, so from Domestra Place, which is a really seedy looking alleyway.
Yeah, because it's to go down there, you've got to go down quite a long alleyway, then take a right, and then find the door there.
Yeah, past the trash cans, through the magical door, surrounded by AstroTurf. You had to be looking for the venue. You couldn't just kind of stumble past it. Yeah, it's really important to kind of make sure that people are coming back or trying to find you at least.
I would assume getting people down that alleyway for those first 5 years, regulars are important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember going out as a bartender, and I worked at terrible places. I'm not in the clique of really cool, award-winning venues. So I remember kind of going out, and you'd have a kind of mixed night. You'd have a night where the bartender either has no time for you, or the bartender has completely turned a really average night around. And I remember kind of going, why is it really inconsistent? With Burrow Bar, we just wanted to make sure that the experience was always on point. Your experience within that venue is what I can control. And it's really important to make sure that, people remember how they feel a lot better than when, you've left and you can actually recall what I had, what I drank. You just remember how you felt. And if you felt really, really amazing, then you're more than likely to come back. And that's, I think, the beauty of our regulars. They had a random amazing night and we didn't know them, but they keep coming back. And then that friendship builds, and to a point where they're invited to our birthdays that are outside the venue.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've spoken before about how regulars have become your friends.
Yeah, I've held dinner parties with these regulars that are now my family. These are genuinely good people that have gravitated to what we do. And my staff are amazing. They're beautiful people through and through. Terrible jokes, but they're beautiful souls. And if you kind of crack through that, you are friends for life. They are really, really amazing people.
Fortunate Son in Enmore is the work of 2 veteran bartenders, and it shows.
We wanted to deliver a neighbourhood bar, so not a dive bar, not any particular theme of any kind, just that myth of a neighbourhood bar that you'd find maybe in Boston or maybe any country in the world that has that kind of amazing atmosphere where everybody kind of knows somebody and it's a real kind of tight community. So yeah, it's kind of a bar that's just a bar in a nutshell. It's not trying to be anything other than that.
Did you open in, I think it was
December
2019, right?
Yes, Christ, yes. Yeah, that's right.
It's a long time ago.
So 2019, we're a little late opening, but as openings are, we were supposed to open sort of early November that year. But we opened, just mid-December. And and then obviously we got closed down 12 weeks later. Again, I live in the eastern suburbs of Sydney with all the no sock wearing wankers. And it was quite a challenge at first, It was kind of like, my God, this is, amazing. Yeah, and, I felt it was almost like being on the set of Star Wars at one stage. I thought there was going to be a blue elephant walking in with a keyboard, but that didn't turn up, fortunately. We've got a whole range of incredible people that from people that are fully dressed up as cowboys. Like, I thought they were on their way to a fancy dress the first time they came in. I'm like, oh, brilliant, and they were moderately offended because you're like, oh, this is me. It dawned on me that you're actually, and of course we've become great friends, and now they come in, so they just kind of, and they walk in like cowboys as well, like they actually like amble.
The swagger?
They amble, and they have the little match thing going on, and the boots.
What have you learned from that kind of interaction with regulars you've taken further?
The way that I do it, and it's genuine, you find remember in Terminator 2 when he walks into the bar and the Terminator is trying to find people with the right size clothes so he can kill them and drive away on the bike with a good fitting leather outfit.
Go on.
When people walk in here, it's kind of like, not a judgment, but you're kind of like analysing what they're wearing, how they're acting, what they're kind of looking for, and it's all about, the only tip I could suggest is that you kind of have to tailor-make experiences for people. Bruce Lee famously said you have to be like water. Yeah. And you have to adapt to the situation like water. You can't fight it, you can't punch it, you can't touch it, you've got to kind of just go with it. And you have to kind of learn just to kind of how to read people, and the only way you can do that is to read people as a poker player, and then you can kind of go, okay.
But that comes obviously with experience.
It comes with experience, but you've kind of got to be focused on that as a bit of a mission, to try and read people, and then it just gets a bit easier with time. And of course you've got to match it with some sort of personality too, but not be overbearing and just being like water,
To be a good regular, what kind of traits should you have?
Don't be a creep.
Probably number one.
Yeah, I think, being a good regular is you enjoy being in the space, and you understand what we do, and sometimes the regular actually does the selling for us. Let us get to know you, don't hold back. That's kind of how you find out if you can actually become friends outside the bar as well.
Has anyone gone from being a good regular to like on the ban list? Just taking that friendship too far?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's hard because I think, sometimes you get really comfortable with someone and then they kind of push the envelope and you actually have to have that awkward conversation.
Well, that's that bartender role, connecting people together.
Yeah, you're
right?
just connecting the dots and you're listening to the conversations, not in a kind of weird way. You just you can't help but have conversations. You end up finding what people do, their story.
Do you find that happens as much anymore these days?
Happens a lot in here. When I go out myself, I find that it doesn't. There's a very much more of a digital experience that even now in some of the more bigger venues, we've been going in for the last year, for example. You're ordering drinks from a scan code on a table, which I find it quite challenging personally.
I find it difficult because then you're like, we're on our phones all the time, my generation, but then there's another reason to be in your phone rather than having that conversation.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't feel there are many bars that can offer that these days, genuinely, without it being a theme where it's like, it's a friendly pop-up bar and we're going to have a friendly week. But also it's a personality thing too. Like you have to kind of have that innate personality to be able to kind of deliver that kind of thing, and also be genuine and interested in people's stories and have the nature of asking questions in your DNA, because most of the time people just want to talk about themselves and you just kind of get a diatribe of whatever that might be, in whatever lane or whatever industry they're in. You just copying it all.
What makes a good bar a great bar? It's not the space, it's not the drinks, it's the people on both sides of the stick. That's how a good bar becomes great and takes on a life of its own.